The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
Mr. Paresishvili, George, dear Georgi, many thanks for your time and being here with us, and congrats with a new position.
Thank you very much.
So, how did it go? I mean, tell me the story about your, first of all, offer, and then later on, appointment. We are aware that Uzbekistan government is in charge of all the regulations related to the capital market in Uzbekistan. So, who was your contact person and how you were appointed? Tell me the story.
Sure. Uzbekistan is the largest country in Central Asia with 35 million people and 60 billion plus economy, which is growing very fast, both population-wise and economy-wise. It has embarked on very ambitious reform program with the new president, Mr. Mirziyoyev. Uzbekistan is privatizing large state-owned companies, is opening up its economy to international investors. There are many joint ventures being established in Uzbekistan. And in general, the economy is being liberalized. For example, currency is now becoming fully convertible. There are less and less restrictions on capital repatriation. Basically, the country is changing really, really fast.
After being elected, President Mirziyoyev, a lot of economists worldwide are saying that, let me say so, country is opening. They are devoted to make very ambitious and quick, qualified reforms. What do we feel while being engaged with Uzbekistan officials? Are these thoughts, let me say so, notes taken and it's true?
I think that everybody can see that Mr. Mirziyoyev is very serious about his reform agenda. It's very ambitious, but I think Uzbekistan is doing everything possible to change the country, as fast as possible. Of course, there are lots of challenges. It's a big country. You need to be careful with every reform, etc. But the most important thing is that there is a political will on the very top level, and that will is being translated in a daily life. And I've been to Uzbekistan many years ago. When there was a different president, a different system, and now I cannot change this country. It has changed. I cannot recognize, this country. It has changed dramatically. It's like day and night. And what also is noticeable is that lots of Uzbek citizens who have been living and working abroad have been very successful there. They are returning to their home country to take up very high-level positions in government, in private sector, etc. It is also noticeable.
So you mean it's in trend that those, the citizens of Uzbekistan who studied abroad
or worked abroad,
yep, they're coming back? It's in trend?
Absolutely. It's a well-recognized trend, and we see more and more such people in leading positions. Absolutely, they are very lucky that they have such people. And going back to your original question, I was approached by one such person who, it's a Deputy Finance Minister, Mr. Odilbek Isakov, who has been educated in England, and he worked at HSBC Bank in London for many years on very high-level positions. He returned to his country to help country develop, and now he is the leader of the capital market development in the country, because in Uzbekistan, Ministry of Finance is in charge of the capital market development because it's the regulator. Unlike in Georgia, where we have central bank, who is the regulator of the capital market, in Uzbekistan it's the Ministry of Finance, and Mr. Isakov is in charge of that. So he has approached me a couple of months ago, and he basically offered me this position to become the CEO of the Tashkent Stock Exchange, which obviously has been an honor. And we discussed a lot the future plans, how the regulator is going to support the stock exchange, the Central Securities Depository, in the capital market in general. I liked what he said, and here we are. So I accepted this position. So I'm going to be, from September, I'll be moving to Tashkent.
Something is definitely happening. Isakov in Uzbekistan is approaching yourself, and Isakadze in Georgia is interviewing you after all this year. Good luck again with the Uzbekistan, but at the same time, what's your already done agenda, to-do list? Share with us, please, with the checkpoints. What will be your first step just in the beginning of September, where you're going to be relocated to Tashkent already?
Sure. My immediate agenda is, of course, to help Mr. Isakov with his reform agenda for the capital market, to bring as many foreign investors into country as possible. For that, we need to bring international CSDs such as Clearstream or Euroclear into the country. We also need to bring global custodians such as Bank of New York, Citibank, etc. into the country so that we can open up Uzbek market for international investors, but that's not enough. So we also, in addition to improving infrastructure, capital market infrastructure, we also need to improve the legislation, which should be very supportive of this ambitious reform agenda. And actually, lots of things have already been done. For example, capital gains tax on securities traded on the Tashkent Stock Exchange has been abolished. Zero. Tax on interest received on bonds, which we call coupon, which is paid on bond, is tax-free. So you as an investor don't pay any tax if you receive an income from coupon or if you simply make a capital gain on buying and selling shares. So this is brilliant. This helps a lot to develop local capital market, but more needs to be done. And basically my job is to help the Ministry of Finance to spearhead this reform and to make the changes as quickly as possible, and those changes which are going to help the market to develop.
You had a chance, knowing this market quite closely, working with not only Uzbekistan, with Central Asia, due to your own company. I mean, you're working for the wealth management with various trading yourself, etc. How do you compare that period and the existing one? Where is Uzbekistan's right days, and what do you remember from the past years?
From my early days, yes, as I call it in my previous life, in 2005-06, I remember I was actually trading shares in Uzbekistan on the Tashkent Stock Exchange. It was extremely difficult, I can tell you. There is like huge difference between the current situation and what was then. First of all, we as a foreign investor were prohibited from buying a single bank share. So banks are completely out of our reach and out of reach of our investors. Now, any foreign investor can invest into shares of Uzbek banks.
But still owned by the government. Most of them.
Many big banks are owned by the state.
I'm talking about the final beneficiaries of the government.
Yeah, sure, it's different.
With an ongoing privatization.
Sure, the different entities of the government. But yes, many large banks in the country are still government owned, but changes are coming because the government has a willingness to privatize these banks, to improve corporate governance, and there are many right steps already been taken. For example, almost all state-owned banks, as far as I know, already have independent directors appointed into the supervisory boards.
You're talking about non-executive?
Non-executive, independent members, and most of them are foreigners. So that's
very important.
That's extremely important for improving corporate governance, and also many banks are being transformed. They are adopting international financial accounting standards and many other things. So basically, they are definitely on the right track, and I'm going to try to help them as much as I can to complete this reform agenda.
You will be accompanied by a lot of Georgians who are last years already in Uzbekistan, working not only for the private sector, and we have brilliant cases like TBC did in Uzbekistan and other Georgian companies as well, but we also have some Georgians who are working for the public sector and for the government itself. We are a lot already in Uzbekistan, which means that our, how to say, it's not a legacy, it's like recognition of our experience and recognition of our results done within the previous years. Who are those who you're going to meet in Tashkent and other cities of Uzbekistan?
Actually, I think it's a badge of honor for many Georgians that we have been asked to help Uzbekistan to reform their economy and to improve things. Yes, Georgia has done a lot in the past to transform its economy into a real market economy and liberalize economy to the maximum extent possible. But that doesn't mean that everything was done in Georgia or everything was done in the right way. There were many mistakes, and I hope we learn from our mistakes in Georgia, and we will help our Uzbek friends with our knowledge and advice. And yes, you are absolutely right. There are many Georgians in many places in Uzbekistan doing a good job. For example, we have a former Prime Minister, Mr. Giorgi Paresishvili, who is heading the Investor Council, which was set up by EBRD to help Uzbek authorities to reform their economy.
It's on the Prime Minister of Uzbekistan, am I right?
As far as I know, it's actually under the President's office, or maybe I'm mistaken. But anyway, it's
but George is still there under EBRD umbrella.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's, as far as I know, he's very much involved and doing a good job helping Uzbek authorities to reform their economy. But George is not the only one. Yeah. We have TBC Bank, which opened basically a subsidiary in the country, which has a full banking license now.
Absolutely new infrastructure.
It's still a small bank, but it's growing extremely fast. I think it's probably one of the fastest growing banks in the country. And obviously, as a Georgian, I'm very happy to see that. And they have a brilliant team run by Nika Kurdiani. And he brought lots of smart Georgians into the country. So they are doing, I think, very good job in terms of not just developing their own bank, but actually to increasing the competition, because Uzbek banks are very fast adopting all these new technologies,
new realities,
and when they see a good competitor, they try to immediately adapt. So I think that there will be a very strong competition in Uzbek banking sector, which is very good. So we will see Uzbek banking sector develop very, very fast. So this is the idea, and again, I consider myself very lucky that I've been asked to run the stock exchange there, and it's a badge of honor for me, and I will try to do my best to help them develop their capital market.
Have fun and good luck. Thank you so much. All the best to your counterparts within the government, Mr. Isakov, and good friends of ours in Uzbekistan, and also Georgians who have a chance to shake your hand and work together for the better regional and Uzbekistan development. Thank you, Giorgi.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.